If I tell you that I had to sell one of my properties to raise over $300,000 just to fund my movie, you would not believe it. I'll tell you about it in this video. Hi, my name is Tola Olatunji and I'm a champion. Well, first of all, I'm a filmmaker, right? And part of what we do is tell stories, educate, change cultures, and so many other things.
Stories shape the way we see the world. For filmmaker Tola Olatunji, storytelling is not just art, it's a responsibility. Born in Nigeria and working across continents, Olatunji has built a career creating films that explore identity, migration, and the human spirit. From Yankee Hustle to Issues of the Heart and the powerful drama King Nani, his work reflects the complex realities of the genders.
So gender equitable storytelling means writing men and women as full human beings, right? With equal depth, agency, flaws, strength, consequences, instead of defaulting them to stereotypes. I like that word, stereotypes. The fact that women are actually half. And I think my contributions in one way, manner, or form, either intentionally through my stories or through things like this, like, seminars, discussions like this can actually contribute to it. What are the common stereotypes that we see when we talk about film or storytelling or content creator? Emotionless strong man. Very good. So it's a common trope, right? That when you're watching a movie, you don't expect the man to express himself emotionally, or cry, or cry. So it's kind of a condition that we've seen. Whether you're a content creator and you want to cast, or you're a writer and you want to deliver your script, you don't know that sometimes those conditions have been embedded in your mind, right? Side woman, the supportive side woman. Okay? Somehow, for some reason, we always assume a woman should be supported, right? Okay? The overly emotional woman. Okay? Yeah. I was just waiting for someone. That's the perfect one I was waiting for someone to say. You bring it to the Nigerian context. What is it that we always have to say mother-in-law is bad? How do we get to that point? Huh? Thank you very much. Somebody must have taught us, right? Yes. Somebody definitely taught us at some point.
Filmmakers are actually the platform that we use in the society to tell the story that we want to see in the society. What we want from the younger generation, what we want from the people around us. We are the ones to tell the story. We are the ones to shape the society. A lot of people are the way they are because of what they've seen. So we need to start telling what we want to see in the society.
You already assume that's what her role is going to be. And we've been conditioned that once you say mother-in-law, the first thing that comes to your mind is she's trouble, right? Right? But human beings are way more complex than that. Way more complex than that. And we tend to represent ourselves in a very narrow way. Very narrow. And it is affecting us. Let's go back to the first one. Have you ever asked yourself why every young boy wants to be a superhero? Why does a little girl want to be a princess? Why? Who taught the family? Why can't a woman pull over and help a man to change the tire? To say, okay, let me help you with... Huh? Yeah. Yes, it's man's job, right? So are you saying that women are not kind, or are you saying that women are not strong? I've seen women that if they punch you, do you see what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's quite essential for storytelling to be balanced. From male and female perspective, it has to be gender equality. Why? Because the nation cannot thrive without both energy. And if what we do is to inspire people, is to inspire a race, is to inspire the nation and, globally as well, that's why it has to be, that equitable story and brilliant ideology where both species can have a balanced outing.
Thank you very much. So basically for me, to be honest with you, I didn't necessarily choose to have women cast in my film. It wasn't by intention. It was just, so I don't want to take the credit for it. So my first, second, third film actually had female leads. And that wasn't by design. So years after, somebody asked me and said, how come you're always casting women in all your roles? And I was like, that's true. How did that happen? You must have had a woman in your life that was a strong character, and that's true.
We want to know about it.
My mother was a very strong person, very, very strong personality. Obviously, she had her challenges as well. A lot of the tropes that we have as filmmakers that we see in women, she had those things. She was considered aggressive. She was considered a business person, but at the same time, she was still a mother. So for some reason, I found myself doing that, and I started casting women in all my stories. It wasn't because I did that by intention; it just happened.
For Tola, film is powerful. He says that when you tell stories that reflect people's real lives, you give them visibility and sometimes even hope. In Kenani, he confronts the harsh realities of human trafficking, telling the story of both men and women navigating systems that often silence them. Here, a man is sold into slavery in Libya and a woman into prostitution in the United States. A rarity from the way we often see trafficking stories told. His work challenges audiences to rethink who gets to be seen and whose voices deserve to be heard.
We went for a role at an event recently in New York, and Omoni was there. It was at the Tribeca Film Festival, and it was about gender equitable storytelling. And all the things that I learned there, now that I know, I'm able to revert that back to saying, wow, God was actually calling me for a purpose, right? And that's where all my films have been. So yes, I definitely agree that I believe that women should have better roles. I believe that the complexity when it comes to women's role in film is not addressed enough. Women are put into buckets. That's my personal opinion. People to think why? How did I get to this point? Right? Who taught me this? Why am I directing like this? Why have I decided to do my content creation in this way? Once you start to ask those questions, which is the reason why we're doing this class, then you're now starting to be real filmmakers, real actors, right? Because you have a right as an actor to say, why is my character being led this way? Good.
In Nigeria.
Yeah. No, it's everywhere. You have to.
I'm just being honest. Why do we have that?
No, let me put it this way. I'll tell you why you need to. I'll tell you why you need to. This is where it comes in. I'll answer the question. Because of the commercial or the reason because you have to pay your bills, I understand why you have to take certain roles. But remember this, whatever you put out there today, your face is on it. The trajectory of everything that you put out, your children's children are going to be participants of that information. So you took dirt. You took what was bad, that you knew was bad, but you also became a vessel for that. So you have a choice.
Sitting in this class, I think I've been given an assignment right now, so I'm going to go back to all of those scripts and I think because in the class I was actually tracking back to all of the scripts that I have, and I think that I actually have a lot of work to do on trying to edit all of those things here. So
it's like I was watching a movie, and in the movie, two characters, I think it was by the
DiCaprio. DiCaprio was in a movie, and there were like two different characters, husband and wife. And at some point, they had children. And in the process of doing that, they had to leave their children. And what came to my mind was, if somebody has to leave the child, it should be the man to go. But the woman left. But in my head, I was like, why did I assume that the woman has to leave, right? Why can't the man be the one? So we assume that women always have to be mature. But it's not true. Women are a lot more complex than that. Our role should be given every opportunity like the male characters as well.
You look at your own why, does it align? If it doesn't align, you have a choice. But if you now say, okay, my only reason for doing this is because of financial reason, at least you've answered the why. You've answered the why. That's it. It's as simple as that. You don't have to take every project. But if you don't have a why, everything they throw at you, you will take.
It was great being here. I was speaking to the host, Tola Olatunji, about how it's full circle for me because I was at the premiere of Kanani a few years ago. And so now coming to this workshop, learning more about gender equitable stories and also why we're doing what we're doing has helped me kind of like hone down on my why and why I'm actually making films.
The same way this program actually helped me not necessarily find it, but also to just let me be able to point out that, oh, I'm actually already in that path to do this.
Tola believes that women carry so many stories that cinema has ignored for too long. As filmmakers, he says we have a duty to tell those stories truthfully. Beyond directing, through the Press Play Film Festival, Tola has created a space where emerging filmmakers, especially from underrepresented communities, can share their voices with the world. The festival has become a meeting point for creativity, mentorship, and opportunity for the genders.
Women are not just receivers. They are complex. They are complex creatures, just like us, right? So if you start to label a woman, oh, because she's assertive, oh, she's a witch. But she's a Zoko, looks like a witch, so let's just put her as witch, okay? It doesn't work like that. So when you're telling your stories, always remember, ask yourself why. Why did I do it this way, right? Okay, if I'm going to put a woman as a lead, is she complex enough? Is she complex enough? You have to make it authentic, right? I'm sure everybody in this room has seen a feisty woman. 100%. Everybody say yeah. And I'm sure it's some people have seen a very calm woman, right? Some women don't have this, they have zero nurturing spirit. Am I wrong? So why do we put women as bottom that you have to be nurturing? If a woman holds a child and throws the child to the side, and it's the father that picks the child up, and the woman walks away and never comes back, and she's like, I'm going to find a job. What is wrong with that? Part of the thing that I've learned on this is that I found out that it doesn't only apply to the film, the actual content that you're creating, but it also in the way you actually cast and your production crew. And I'll give you a quick example. When I started filming, I used to have like multiple different people on my set, girls, boys, and all that stuff. And because of my cultural background, right, I naturally gravitated towards certain things being for women and certain things being for men. So for example, I will say, when it comes to hard things, like dangerous things, I'll tell my crew member, because he's a guy, you climb the ladder, you do this, and I'll tell the girls to do more simple things. And I realized that I started getting some like lashback, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? There's nothing wrong with that. Women are complex. In real life, they are complex. But we bottle them that if a woman carries a child, when you see somebody fighting and the child has to go, you expect that it's the woman that has to come back and say, oh mommy, no, it's not the case. In real life, it's not the case. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
But all of us cannot say it's a woman that has to. And that way, we are telling the audience that you don't need to be angry. You don't need to be angry when the woman is not the one that picks the child. It's normal. But we've all thought everybody is the woman that has to pick the child. She's a wicked woman. Does that make sense? Yes. So women are way more complex. Men are way more complex too. And I know this is always a bone of contention. Like I said, this is not a gender war. It's okay for men to cry in movies.
Apparently, now that I know better, right, I'm not only going to cast better, write my story aligning better, but also be able to understand how my crew, the dynamics of my crew. Does that make sense? Yes. So, because I got a lot of people saying, why do the women have to be the ones to go get coffee? I'm like, that's true. Why am I sending her to go get coffee? Why does she have to be the one to provide the food? The guy can provide the food too, as well, right? And the girl could climb the ladder. So, but that helps you actually point to those problems, right? So that's what I've definitely learned.
Somebody said, I don't know the arc of a man. Who is a man? Why? Because they said men don't speak up. Men don't speak up. We don't show our emotions. And our stories don't show it either. You hardly find movies where men are showing who they are. It's only when they are with themselves. And even when they're with themselves, when they're third party, they don't really express. So it's hard for a man to cry. Is it okay for a man to cry? I'm not saying to cry, but why to cry? Has there been no man that has ever cried? Right? Who told you not to cry? Who told you not to cry? Who told you?
And as directors, I think we are actually at the front line because we are the main custodians of storytelling, because we are part of the story, which is a script. We are part of production. We are part of post-production, and we are the actual custodians of what you see in the frame. Maybe other than politics, where you have the direct power, right, to influence, to make policies, structure things. I don't think anybody is more powerful than filmmakers, because we have what it takes. Somebody made mention yesterday and said there's a difference between women empowerment. That means when you actually want to tell people you have the power to do certain things, that's something that is being given to you.
It's something that we always have to keep questioning ourselves about. And literally before I started this interview, the lovely man was about to mic me and he asked me for my permission. And I thought about it, like almost on every set that I've been on, I've seen the man literally pause to ask, but I don't think I've seen a woman do that with a guy. And I guess these are the kind of things that make me question. And I've been doing film for years now.
Choosing, that's the big one. That's the biggest one here. Choice. Choice. You have to give your character choice, right? Something to choose from, that they can determine their own trajectory. It's very important. A man can appear powerful and still be trapped by expectation. A woman can be exploited and still choose. Okay? Male characters are way more complex. Female characters generally have less choice. If you're a boss, go to work. Like Jennifer said, I'm expected to be nurturing. I'm expected to be soft-spoken. If you do anything outside of that, you're going to sound like a witch. Let me explain why to you. Why is it important for stories to be balanced? It's affecting marriages. It's affecting relationships. It's affecting a lot of stories, a lot of things. Because when you've been told by on film that a woman cannot be assertive, women are portrayed as indecisive. Is it true? I don't know. I don't care. But are there women that are decisive? 100%. So if a woman becomes decisive, why do we label her as a witch? Or whatever. That's my problem. Does that make sense? It's not for us to say one thing is right or one thing is wrong. It's for us to have an open mind that if you are like this, okay, I can understand. I can understand why you're angry. Not because you be woman now, you're not supposed to be angry. No. If she's angry, right? So when you now get home and your wife is angry, or you saw the movie character, where every time they see a movie character, the lady is always nurturing. When the man says, I don't like it, she can't express herself, you now get home to your wife and she expresses herself. It throws you off. It throws you off. So it's whatever you're putting out there changes culture, right? Again, like I said, I keep saying it. I'm not here to put you to any particular, push you in any direction. I'm just saying, ask yourself why. Okay?
And there's when you have what's that other thing you said? Women with power. No, being empowered, women empowerment and having power. There are two different things. One is intrinsic, right? It's actually embedded in you. You know you have it. It's now a function of exploring those opportunities. So now we can talk as much as we want and say, hey, go ahead, let's make policies, let's make, whatever it is to empower people. But the difference between film and any other structure is that film, it helps you to think in that way. And nobody else can shape culture, nobody else can shape people's thinking other than film. So there's a lot of opportunities for filmmakers to do that.
We are very, very intentional about projecting strength in men, strength in women, weakness in men, weakness in women.
I don't think necessarily that there's a book or a dictionary or a guide on how you need to portray masculinity. For me, it's understanding what do I want to tell specifically about a masculine character. And that's a wide spectrum, right? A masculine person could wear pink, in my own opinion, right? A masculine person could have muscles. A masculine person can cry. It can be aggressive. It can be nurturing, right? It all depends. So for me, it's not a function of having something that you use a specific prototype to say, if this person is to be masculine, this is how I want it to be. Otherwise, I'm begging the question, right? To say, what has brought us to this point to say, why can't men cry, right? Why can't men be nurturing? So it's a function of just, like I always say, the same phrase, remove conditioning and tell the story as it is, not what you were told to tell.
But my experience so far has been very good. I have, in the course of doing this, I have done a lot of meeting people here. I've actually done a lot of sessions in Texas with students trying to learn things like equity and gender equity, the storytelling. And right now in Nigeria, like I said, when I came to this room this afternoon, I think I had a lot of things to say, and I thought I was going to say a lot of smart things. But when the mic was turned on, I realized I didn't have much to say because the conversation was very deep. The conversation was very engaging. And I think I absorbed more than I could, actually speak. So I'm walking away with a different perspective, and I'm going to actually take that further from here.
Tola Olatunji believed that storytelling is more than filmmaking. It is advocacy, it is empowerment, and it is a commitment to a more equitable world, one story at a time. This is why Tola Olatunji is our champion.